Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video we're going to be doing a wear test and first impressions on the new Morphe Fluidity foundation, which has arrived in this massive box. Just looks like this. I can't believe it came in such a big box for just like these two products here. To me that's a bit of a waste of packaging, you know, a bubble envelope would have sufficed, but you know, that's what they've chosen to do. So this is what the foundation it looks like in its box. So Morphe Fluidity Full Coverage Foundation 30ml, and I got it in the shade 1.40, so it just looks like that. And then I've got the concealer here, so this is the concealer, and I got it in C 1.25, so it just looks like that. The foundation was £16 and the concealer was £9, and then you can also use a influencer code. I used Babs Beauty code and that gets you 10% off. Then they also sent like this little shade booklet with some of the other shades in the light category. So looking at the foundations, I did have a hard time picking my shade, and there were just so many shades because there are 60 shades across 5 levels in this foundation. So here's some of the other shades. I did have a hard time picking my shade, and looking at some of the other colours in the light category, you know, you can see why, because like I would normally pick a neutral, and for some of the descriptions here it says like neutral with a slightly yellow undertone, so for me that's not a neutral. I picked 1.40, which is a warm, and it says with yellow undertones. Ideally I would have picked a neutral, but the one up from that was a neutral, but it looks quite orange, and I just picked it from the model kind of pictures, and I thought that that would be similar to something I would look like and my shade. So let's have a look at it out of the box. I have actually already had a look at this, and I'm going to show you now. So this is the shade I've picked. I don't know how well it's going to come across on camera, but that is so yellow, and yeah, I think I'm going to look a little bit like a Simpson when I put that on today. So then this is the concealer that I chose. I chose 1.25. There aren't as many shades in the concealer neither. There are 60 shades in the foundation. I think there's about 30 in the concealers, but this is the shade I chose. It is very fair, so obviously that's good because I am very fair, but obviously I would like, you know, something a little bit darker. So I think it is quite hard to find my shade online, and the only Morphe store they have, I think, in the UK, or at least near me, is in the Bullring in Birmingham, which is 2 hours away, so I would find it very hard to, you know, go down and actually see them in person. So I do also want to say that I do have a window here that is skewing my light if the light keeps changing, and I got a cold as well, so I am suffering through that today if my voice sounds a little bit weird. Okay, so with all my foundation wear tests, I always use the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer just because it does nothing drastic to my skin. I will be using the Beauty Blender on one side of my face and the Morphe Y7 brush on the other side, just to see how it applies and if one is better than the other. So, and we are going to get started with that now. Okay, so that's the blender side on. To me it went on really easily. It was quite easy to blend out. A lot of people have complained about the smell of this foundation, and I can smell something, but it's obviously not as bad as what I think that people have been making out for it to smell like. It smells a little bit, but to me it doesn't smell that bad. So yeah, that is the blender side. It is obviously matte as it claims. And yeah, I think it's got good coverage. The brush side. I do think I've got slightly more coverage out of the brush side, but I like the way that the Beauty Blender made it a little bit more seamless and went into my skin. Okay, so that is the brush side there. I do think I've got more coverage out of the brush side, but I do like how the beauty blender like pushed into my skin and made it seem a little bit more seamless. So yeah, that's what both sides are looking at right now. I'm going to zoom you in so you can have a look as well. Okay, so welcome to my face. I have got some dry patches around my forehead here and on my nose, so we'll have to see how that holds up during the day. Normally I get oily on my T-zone. I do have a combination skin type. If that's any kind of help to you, you can see how it wears, you know, if you've got similar skin to me. So obviously it is incredibly yellow. I would not have picked this shade if I knew how yellow it would be. It did not look this yellow on the model, but the coverage is really good. Okay, so I am just going to use the concealer with the sponge just because I like how it applied. It is a very flat applicator, and I have heard that people say that this concealer has been lifting off the foundation, and yeah, so I don't know how that is going to go, but it is, you know, I've heard people saying it's very full coverage. So yeah, it's good coverage, but maybe you just have to work quickly. Maybe it dries really quickly. So that is the colour. Nice colour, not too dissimilar from the foundation. So if you wanted something really brightening, I'd probably pick a lighter shade than this. Like I've got 1.25, I'd go for something lighter. Okay, so that is the concealer on. I thought it blended in really nice and it hasn't done anything to the foundation. So yeah, and it looks very full coverage. Yeah, like the way that it is sitting so far. Okay, so I have just powdered my face. I'm actually really grateful that the light has sorted itself out. And yeah, so I've just powdered my face, put a little bit of makeup on. I'm just going to do a very natural kind of makeup today. And there are Morphe powders that were available in this release, and also like other tools like sponges and brushes, and they had primers, and I didn't pick any of those up just because I don't need any more. You know, obviously people can buy them and I'm not judging them for that, but I have so much makeup that I don't need any more of those. So I've set my face today with the Makeup Academy, the Pro Base. It just looks like this. This is like £2. This is actually very yellow, so I'm not sure why I put this on, a yellow foundation. I don't think it looks too bad now it's on my skin, and I think it maybe is a slightly little bit dark for me. Obviously this is the shade 1.4 and there were lighter ones, but they just look very fair on the pictures. But yeah, I mean, I think I can make it work, so it's fine. So yeah, it's getting on for around 11:30 now. I'm going to try and give it around 7-8 hours of wear. Obviously I have seen very mixed reviews. It can make people very oily. It looks very cakey by the end of the day. So, you know, I'm just going to base this on my own experience with this foundation and then just let you know how I get on. But yeah, this is how it's looking so far. It looks very matte. It looks very full coverage. So yeah, that is the first starting point, 11:30, and I'll see you later. Hey guys, so the time is now 4 o'clock and I've been wearing this foundation for about 3.5 hours. I wanted to do like a, you know, halfway point kind of check-in, and also because I'm going to be going to the cinema later, so I think that my last check-in is going to be quite late. I do think the foundation has oxidised a little bit, and have heard that from other YouTubers and other, you know, videos on this foundation that it does oxidise. That is something to watch out for. Maybe go for a foundation shade, maybe one shade slightly light, because when it does oxidise it might, you know, be your shade. So the foundation does actually feel really nice on my face. It doesn't feel very heavy at all, which I probably was expecting, because I've heard people liken this foundation to the Kat Von D Lock It Tattoo foundation, and while I think maybe it has a similar kind of coverage, it doesn't feel as heavy and cakey as that foundation did. I couldn't wear that foundation. I do love a matte foundation. I like that it's covered all my spots. I think it's got really good coverage, and for me it's not really moved or done anything significant. My face looks pretty much as it did when I first did my first check-in. I could pick any kind of fault with it. It's starting to kind of gather around my nose a little bit, but not in an oily way, if that makes any sense. It's just kind of, I don't know, gathering together. Normally I'll, you know, by this point I start to get a little bit of an oily tea, but that's not actually happening yet, and there is no oil at all on my forehead, which is great. I feel like I can see yellow patches though on this foundation. Like this area looks particularly yellow. I I do think that I'm going to have to either mix this foundation with like another shade or buy, I think LA Girl have like a blue foundation that makes things less yellow. It's a blue mixer, that's what it is. I think I would have to buy something like that for this foundation because it's so yellow. Like, so if you're, I mean, if you're a warm skin tone, you know, by all means buy the 1.4 shade. If you're anything like me, use a neutral, don't buy it. It's so, I just can't get over how yellow this foundation is. Yeah, that is my first check-in. I think it looks pretty nice on my face, and from this like camera kind of angle and you know, the lighting, I think it looks pretty good. So yeah, I'm going to check in later. It will be quite late, so we'll, you know, get to see if it's actually moved significantly on my face. Hey guys, welcome back. So the time is now after 9 o'clock at night, so I've been wearing this foundation for around 9.5 hours now. I think from this distance, like from the camera to my face, I think it looks pretty good. It has not oiled or up much around my nose, which is pretty good, but it has worn off a little bit on this side of my nose and this side as well. But I have got a bit of a cold, so that's probably to be expected of any kind of foundation. I've no oiliness on my forehead, which is really good. I was caught outside in the rain a little bit before my mascara smudged. So the concealer has come off a little bit, but it's nothing major. It's like, it's still all in place in terms of coverage, like, and when I touch it, it doesn't feel like damp or anything, and I can't see it like on my fingers. So like, it's obviously it's not 100% transfer proof, but it's, you know, it's quite decent. It has bunched up a little bit around my nose, like I did say at the 4-hour mark, but it's not significantly changed from that. It's still kind of at the same level. Yeah, I think this foundation has actually worn really well. And yeah, I mean, obviously there have been loads of different mixed reviews on this, and I've seen more negative than positive, to be honest, but I actually pretty much like the way that it's sitting on my face right now. Obviously it is very yellow, so I wouldn't have picked that shade, and it has oxidized a little bit, but I think it's actually worn really well across the day. I am actually very impressed. So yeah, that's actually a good bit of a thumbs up from me. It's better than a lot of the foundations I have tried lately have lasted on my face. So yeah, it gets a thumbs up from me. Thanks for watching this video today. I will leave some of the links to other videos that I have mentioned, and I will see you again shortly. Bye!